her hypnotic dance. She holds me with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. It sounds like a waterfall. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I don't know why the hell it sounds like this, but let me try something here quick. It sounds like a freaking waterfall. Let me try something again. It's definitely coming from the studio, so we got to get it reconnected here, and hopefully that fun-filled noise will sound a hell of a lot better. Let's see. Oh, there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Wow, that was quite a earful of a waterfall there for a while. It's just that strange static noise. I haven't heard that for a long time, but it brings back memories. Not all of them good. The old technical difficulties, as it were. But anyway, welcome to the Friday night show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. I am absolutely thrilled you're here with me as we're going through the night. We got 2 fun-filled hours of the Paranormal Portal lying in wait for us, so we've got some cool stuff to cover, and one of the things we're going to be covering tonight is the Black-Eyed Kids, which is always creepy and weird, and again, it's a strange phenomena, but we'll dive into it a little bit and see what we can uncover in the course of our show, plus the normal strangeness that we cover here on the Paranormal Portal, and as well as the news. But I'm not going to be doing this all alone. I'm going to have the help of my firstborn son. Mr. Sheldon Thomas is with us tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you? Hope everyone out there is staying warm.
I hope so too.
These chilly days.
I know it's getting brutal. It's just getting brutal. I mean, it's not like there's snow or anything here, but it's just, it's weird that as I've gotten older, you can feel the seasons change. When I was a kid, I was just kind of immune to it. Like, you don't feel anything, but I swear I can feel the day that fall starts. It's just like something in the air changes. The energy level changes. And I don't know how else to say it. I realize that sounds really esoteric and bizarre, but it's very true. I mean, it's just, it just hits me. And it's like getting punched in the gut usually, because I really don't fare very well through winters. And I mean, just generally speaking, like, it really has an impact on me physiologically and physically. So I'm just not built for winters anymore. But whatever you do, Kelpie Inkpot says, oops, wrong channel.
All right.
Well, you're welcome to shave if you want to check out what this channel is, but you could be on the wrong channel. Oh, okay. It's Rachel. It's Rachel's alter ego, I guess. Rachel gets it
Oh.
right. That's funny. I thought we caught someone that stumbled into the wrong show. Welcome to Brent's Knitting Corner. And today we're going to talk about Knit 1, Purl 2. Everybody got your sticks? I don't know what they call them. Needles, I guess. I don't know. I'm just saying it might be a hit, but you never know. But welcome to the show to all of you, and thank you for spending your the beginning of your weekend right here with us here on the Paranormal Portal. We're on the network, so we're going to have the half-hour breaks as usual, but we got a lot of stuff to cover. I suppose what we should cover pretty quick here, Sheldon, is the news. What do you think?
Oh, that's a great idea.
All right, let's do the news. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News. Just as a piece of news, I just want those of you that might be in TFR Live to know I can't see the chat. It's got a new login, and I didn't realize that prior to the show. So maybe during one of the breaks, I'll try to get that sorted out so I can see who's in there. I imagine Bam's in there, and whoever else is in there, thanks for being here and being a part of the journey. But we are the Paranormal Portal News as well, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that are new to the show, and what the Paranormal Portal News is it's our little news segment where we talk about sometimes paranormal news, sometimes weird news, sometimes bizarre news, sometimes technological news, but it's all news. And most of it's news to me. Thank you.
Oh,
all right, see what I did there?
Look at you, how you've grown.
Isn't this just highbrow? I mean, geez, come on. And welcome my co-host, Mr. Shecky Thomas. That's you from now on. You're going to be Shecky.
Shecky? What kind of name is that?
It's an old-fashioned name. You got to understand. I'm talking like black and white movies kind of name. It's just it's just way, way back. Your generation doesn't make sense, but in my generation, that kind of stuff is hilarious. That's comedy gold. So,
okay, all right, I'll take your word for it.
All right, Shecky, you ready for the first article of the night?
Okay, all right, take it easy.
He's already done with Shecky. I don't blame you. That is a little creepy. Here we go. Here's the first article tonight. Cracks me up. The first one tonight is from unexplained-mysteries.com, which is where a lot of our news comes from. It's a great site. Please check it out. Support what they're doing over there because it's some really cool articles, lots of different topics. But the news is whistleblower, pilots who pursued UFOs got radiation burns. Now, this, I think, is talking about the Tic Tac craft, as was released from the Pentagon. However, inadvertently, it was released. These are Pentagon videos of fighter pilots tracking these UFOs. Well, apparently they got radiation burns. I don't know. This is news to me, but it says a former intelligence officer has described the physical symptoms experienced by U.S. Navy pilots. Luis Elizondo, who's also from Tom DeLonge's To the Stars talent search for UFOs Academy, has come on in the spotlight again. He says, Luis Elizondo was once the head of the U.S.'s government's secretive Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, or AATIP, and has quite a lot to say about the subject in recent years, having long maintained that the government is in possession of exotic materials and more now, thanks to your guys' agreement to do analysis with the U.S. Army. That's awesome. Thank you. That's my own little interjection there. But he also claims to have several unreleased videos recorded by U.S. Navy pilots during their encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, off the coast of the United States. There's videos out there. There's one that's 23 minutes long. He recently told GQ magazine there's another one where this thing is 50 feet away from the cockpit. Why don't we see that one? What are you hanging on to that for, Lewis? During the interview, he also made comments implying that some of the pilots had experienced physical symptoms as a result of their proximity to the objects. Yeah, 50 feet's a lot closer. I've got to be careful. I can't speak too specifically, but one might imagine that you get a report from a pilot that says, Lou, it's really weird. I was flying and got close to this thing, and I came back home and I was like, I got a sunburn. I was red for 4 days, he said. Well, that's a sign of radiation. That's not sunburn, it's radiation burn. He also claimed that some of the pilots had experienced warping of time. The closer you get to one of these vehicles, the more you may begin to experience space-time relative to the vehicle and the environment, he said. Exactly how much truth there is to these claims, however, remains unclear. He's I'm sure has a hell of a pedigree, and I don't have any bones to pick with Luis Elizondo personally, but I think if he's in possession of those kind of videos, he should release them. He already released the other Tic Tac versions, which are very distant recordings of these ships. So why not release the 23-minute one? Just put it out there.
True.
Yeah, I mean, throw all your dice into the game as long as you're already pushing the envelope. Just push it all the way. What are you hanging on to it for? And it's almost like a bargaining chip, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think. But that's our first article of the night from unexplained-mysteries.com. Let's get to the next one, which is also from unexplained-mysteries.com, and they're talking about this is kind of cool. Now, Seth Breedlove is a name many people will recognize, especially in our corner of the galaxy in terms of the paranormal and the cryptozoology and Fortean topics. But Seth Breedlove is the name behind Small Town Monsters, I think, who's done an amazing number of films recently, including The Beast of Bray Road, where they've gone and interviewed both Linda and Lee Hempel and several other people. They've done several others as well, but it says, filmmaker reports encounter with bipedal ape-like creature, and this is from November 12th, so it's literally today's news. It says Seth Breedlove maintains that he witnessed Bigfoot in the countryside while out putting up trail cameras. The Ohio filmmaker is credited with creating a number of documentaries on cryptozoological mysteries, including Mothman and Bigfoot, had been out on a wooded property in Augusta Township in Carroll County to set up trail cameras when he saw something unusual about 50 yards away. We were up at the abandoned cabin, and while we were out, we were coming out to put our trail cameras out and left the cabin, he said. All I know is we're driving, and then bam, there's this huge brown two-legged figure running. When I say huge, for some reason the detail that sticks out to me was the musculature in the biceps. So this thing is running at an upright gait with dark brown fur at a dead sprint, like an Olympic runner, and it cleared that space in maybe like an eighth of a second. Jesus, that's huge. That's flying.
Oh.
Desperate to capture the creature on film, he got out of the car and ran after it. I hit the ground and it's a decline down there, and I just take off running, he said. And I'm running, trying to get this thing on camera, but maybe 10 yards down, the thorns just were all the way up to and above his waist motion he made, and I had to stop. Breedlove is currently preparing to launch a new YouTube series entitled The Bigfoot Project, which will be viewable for free on his channel from November 18th. Video of him describing the Augusta Township sighting can be viewed below. Well, I'm not going to do that to the guy. I'm not going to share his video, but I would encourage you to check it out. It's apparently his, I don't know, it's from a channel from Edward Balint, Balint, with 40 subscribers. So there's not a lot of traffic on that channel, but that is where you could find, I guess, this video from Seth Breedlove talking about it. And it's one that I would be interested in checking out later. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to minimize that and check it out. But yeah, the reports of these creatures are, where the hell's my mouse? There it is. Are that they literally nearly fly. They're moving so fast, and you wouldn't expect that from a 7, 8, 9 foot creature. You just wouldn't expect the speed, but that's something that comes out of so many witness reports. It's like, it moved so fast. I couldn't wrap my head around how fast this thing was moving. And we've had reports on the show. There's a Yowery report from when we had Sarah on the show. That was 70 or 80 kilometers per hour, which is cruising or, around 60 miles an hour. This thing was apparently chasing a car. And I've heard from Jim King Bear, who's been on the show a few times from the U.S., that he had a friend on a four-wheeler and who was being chased, and he clocked it at about 45 miles an hour before it started dropping back. I mean, a deer runs roughly 30, 35 miles an hour. So when you hear reports of these things running down deer, it seems hard to believe. It's like, yeah, right, a deer, sure. Well, apparently it's possible. If they're moving that fast, ladies and gentlemen, they could run down a deer. And think about the chance you've got if they want to run you down. That would be...
You're at their mercy.
Yeah, you are literally confetti at that point. I mean, literally. Yeah, very, very shocking. But again, what are they? Who knows? But they're out there. I have no doubt of that. Next, from unexplained-mysteries.com comes another article we're going to be covering as soon as I close out the big advertisement that opened. And this is Search for Alien Life Tops Next-Gen Astronomy Goals. This is what's bizarre. This has been in the public eye, this whole there are UFOs out there. It's been in the public eye since the 50s and 60s and 40s and 30s, whatever. It's been out there forever. In fact, there's sighting reports that go back in the U.S. into the 1800s. So this is not a new phenomena. However, the official stance has always been like, it's swamp gas reflected on Uranus, or something dumb like that. But obviously, this is something that now the reports are out, now the Tic Tac, now the acknowledgement by the Pentagon that, look, these videos are real. They're something, we don't know what they are. Now that that's out there, all of a sudden everybody's taking a real concerted effort into, we need to look into this. Well, they're so late to the party. It's now that they can't hide it anymore. I guess the only thing left is to start giving it some credible investigation. So I don't know. Very strange. This whole change of what is it? The change of focus is what I find so interesting. Now that NASA's having discussions about how to talk about alien presence and, if there are some here, how do we discuss that? How do we release the information? It's like suddenly everybody's interested on getting into this party that many of us have been in for years and years and years, So it's actually kind of frustrating. And all they're really doing, I think, is just trying to figure out new ways to stem the flow of information by inserting themselves into the entire process, which I think is frustrating. But let's read the article. So scouring the cosmos for evidence of extraterrestrial life is going to be a major priority in the coming decades. On December 18th of this year, James Webb Space Telescope will finally be launched. Woo! Everybody give it a hand. I don't know how long. I think it's way late and over budget by billions. But hey, great thing they're going to lob it up there. Capable of peering across the cosmos and, among other things, determining the potential habitability of planets around distant stars, it will be the most sophisticated observation platform ever launched into space, and will bring with it an exciting new era of astronomical discovery. If it succeeds, however, what will be next? Where do we go from there? This month saw the release of a major new report entitled Pathways to Discovery in Astronomy and Astrophysics for the 2020s, a once-per-decade release that aims at establishing astronomy's top priorities while also seeking to muster financial support from federal policymakers. You betcha. To facilitate the continued search for potential habitable extraterrestrial worlds, the report outlines what is known as the Great Observatories Mission and Technology Maturation Program, a $1.2 billion initiative designed to fundamentally change the way NASA develops and launches major astronomy projects by investing in the technologies needed to reduce the cost and risk of such platforms, and thus making them quicker and easier to build and launch. I just hate that once these agencies get involved, you get all these big, dumb words. It's like, why not just say, look, we're trying to make them cheaper and easier. But the language changes once it's a bureaucracy. One such observatory. Oh yeah, probably, probably right. One such observatory will be the successor to the Hubble Space Telescope, a much larger and more sophisticated orbital platform costing in the region of $11 billion. Just there goes $11 billion. While it won't begin development until the end of this decade, why? And might not even be launched until the mid-2040s, the super advanced space telescope will be capable of observing extrasolar planets and in incredible detail, assisting astronomers in finding the telltale signs of alien life. The report sets an ambitious, inspirational, and aspirational vision for the coming decade of astronomy and astrophysics, said committee co-chair Fiona Harrison. In changing how we plan for the most ambitious strategic space projects, we can develop a broad portfolio of missions to pursue visionary goals. These things just suck to read. I get done with a paragraph and it's like, God, that was just fluff. such as searching for life on the planets orbiting stars in our galactic neighborhood, and at the same time exploit the richness of the 21st century astrophysics through a panchromatic fleet. A panchromatic fleet, Sheldon.
What does that even mean? Come on.
I don't know. It's just fluffy talk for we need more money. That's what that means. That's translation. Send cash, please. Yeah. Just another level of our fine bureaucracies that pollute our lives with their inane pratter. All right.
Of course, they got to sound smart.
You gotta sound smart. Whatever. All right. Next from unexplained-mysteries.com comes, Sheldon, everybody wants everybody wants a robot. But
me too.
I don't think you can say America much more than if you have a robot.
Sure.
Let's give it a gun. Unexplained-mystery reveals robot dog equipped with a sniper rifle was unveiled.
Oh,
let's talk about the unleveling the playing field, shall we? A robotics firm with a history of building dog-like robots has now produced one with a large gun on its back. The risk of giving autonomy to so-called killer machines have been highlighted time and time again over the years in movies such as The Terminator and The Matrix, leading to concerns over what might happen if firms actually did start to develop autonomous weapon systems in the real world. Yeah, I can see that going bad. Just don't let Microsoft build the OS. While such a future is still some distance away, the recent reveal of a sophisticated new robotic platform equipped with a powerful sniper rifle has put a lot of people on edge. Developed by the Ghost Robotics of Philadelphia, the new robot, which has 4 legs, is the latest iteration of its Vision series of robots, which are currently being trialed as perimeter security units by the United States Air Force. The new gun-toting variant was revealed this week at an annual meeting of the Association of the United States Army in Washington, D.C., where it immediately attracted a lot of attention. Yeah, I've seen RoboCop. This doesn't go well.
No.
Capable of crossing even the roughest terrain with little to no human intervention, the unnerving device is equipped with a 6.5 millimeter sniper rifle as well as both day and night cameras. Once deployed, it has an effective range of about 1,200 meters. Keen to dispel concerns, Ghost Robotics CEO Jiran Parikh has emphasized that the sniper rifle on its back is not autonomous and requires a human operator to fire. Wow, that'll help me sleep. Even so, it's that's caused so it's like those are the same people that are already driving drones around lobbing missiles. So yeah, that'll help. Even so, it's not too difficult to imagine where a design like this could lead a few years from now. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that having the ability to act as a security vehicle, yeah, that's okay. But putting a sniper rifle on it, really, is that where you start? I mean, how about a beanbag gun or something non-lethal? Let's start with it lobbing beanbags at high velocity, just to change people's mind.
Heck, you can start with just at the front of it, just put a few chainsaws. Just start there.
And big ant pincers.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Just chew them up and then rip off limbs while you're at it. Sounds good. I'd say roll with it. Yeah, let's just create little spawn of hell while we're at it.
Yeah, start there.
Gotta love technology, folks. Yeah, you heard it here. Maybe first. You might have heard it here first. And it kind of lends credibility to the power of the Paranormal Portal. Well, I don't know what else to say to that one. Other than, I saw that movie and it didn't end well. But let's continue, because I have 3 minutes and a lot more news to get through here. Here's kind of an interesting story that I think it speaks a lot to the cognitive abilities of some of our terrestrial animals or creatures. And this has to do with the octopus. So from unexplained-mysteries.com, octopus stages incredible aquarium escape. Isn't that on Finding Nemo?
I think so.
Or Finding Dory, whatever the second one was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Dory. Yep.
An octopus in New Zealand called Inky, well, I stayed up late thinking of that name, managed to escape his tank and make his way back to the ocean. He made his way back to the ocean. Good for him. The eight-legged escape artist, who has been kept at a national aquarium of New Zealand in Napier, was found to have completely disappeared when his keeper arrived at work one morning. It was eventually determined that the daring cephalopod had squeezed through a small gap at the top of its tank, squirmed his way across the floor to an open drain pipe, which then wriggled more than 164 feet down the drainage system before being deposited in the ocean at Hawke's Bay. Despite a thorough search of the pipes, no traces of the octopus was ever found. He managed to make his way to one of the drain holes that go back to the ocean, and off he went, said aquarium manager Rob Yarrow. Didn't even leave us a message. Yeah, those bastards. Ungrateful. Octopus are certainly no stranger to making their way through small spaces. Octopus are fantastic escape artists, said aquarist. Aquarist, really? They got their own title for people that have aquariums. Aquarist. Alex Harvey. And they are programmed to hunt prey at night and have natural inclination to move around at night. They have a complex brain, excellent eyesight, and research suggests they have an ability to learn and form mental maps. Woof. So it's not just for eating anymore.
So actually, I've watched a lot of those octopus escape videos. There's a channel on YouTube that does a lot of that, and it's actually really impressive and entertaining how smart octopus actually are.
Yeah, I think the only barrier to them getting through a space is how much they can smash their eyeball. You know, like their eyes, I think, are the biggest hurdle. If they can fit their eyeball through, they can get anywhere. Like, they have no trouble. And they do. Like, there's this one ship where you see it, and it's going. There's a little gap, like a little 1-inch gap along the edge of the railing going off of the edge of the ship, and no kidding, that thing just kind of squeezes through. Like, it looks like toothpaste coming through that thing, and then it's like bloop into the ocean. So they are incredibly intelligent, and some would suggest they're actually an alien species that arrived here. They believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. Their DNA is unlike any other creature here on the planet Earth. So they think they may have come aboard like a meteorite or something that came to Earth. So
could be.
I don't know, folks, but that's where Inky went. Inky is no more. No more the fodder for that kind of stuff. But I will tell you this. That's going to conclude our news for the night. So let's close it there because we're just about to go to break. So let's get this out of the way. Yeah, darn Inky. All right, folks, we're going to go to our break. I don't hear the bumpers, but or the raging ocean or waterfalls. So I'll assume it's about to go to break here. But at any rate, I'm just going to keep talking until I see the mute. But we are going to return in just a couple minutes with more of the Paranormal Portal, so don't go away. Do one. And the ocean continues. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hear the rush of the water. That means we are out of break here on TFR. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I think I'll try. All right. Dance party. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, officially. Officially now. The timers are a little goofed up here, so I'm just trying to get my bearings for when I should talk and when I should shut the hell up and wait. But until that gets sorted out, you're going to get all kinds of stupid things of me going on here. But that happens. I just want to say the phone lines are open here on the show. If anybody out there, all of you, whether you're out on YouTube land or if you're at TFRlive.com, if you want to be a part of the show, if you've got some paranormal of your own that you want to bring to the table and say, hey, check out this, then by all means, please do that. And the call in, the number is 720-923-0500. 720-923-0500. Also, if you're in the YouTube chat, I can't get into the TFR chat yet. I haven't sorted through that. I had to go use the facilities. Well, I had an actual break here. But if you are wanting to talk to us here on the show and you're in YouTube, you can just simply let us know in the chat. Either type everything in all capitals or just do the @ sign and say Paranormal Portal, and it'll give this nice big orange or yellow box that we can see pretty easily and respond to those comments. But Sheldon will be doing his best to keep an eye on that, as will I if I see it. But we'll just keep. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Maggie tested it out. It works, Maggie. I see it. Those of you on TFR, if you're in the chat room, I can't see your chat right now. So if you want to contact us, 720-923-0500. So we just got through the news, and it was a hell of a party of news there. And now we're going to get to the meat and taters of the portal, which is all the strangeness you've come to love here on the portal. If you're new to the show, hopefully you'll love it in the future. But we got a bunch of strangeness and articles pulled up to go through here as we get through the night. And I'm getting to the first one here now.
Lovely.
All right. So we've been going through this article from Factinate.com, and it's a cool site. I don't know what Factinate really is, but I know they do these aggregated articles where they have people that go out and actually do maybe question responses on Reddit, and they get responses from Reddit participants. And they'd compiled this list that's intensely creepy experiences. And we've been going through this for a couple of shows now, so we're going to go through some more right here in this segment of the show. And then after the hour break, we're going to get into the Black-Eyed Kids stuff. We got a lot of material to get through in the second hour of our show. And Black-Eyed Kids, of course, is one of those phenomena that I think everybody goes, ooh, it's just creepy. Sheldon, are you familiar with Black-Eyed Kids?
I know you've mentioned them once when I was on the show, but
Okay.
Since then I have completely forgotten.
Well, we're going to refresh your memory and so much more. And by the end of today's show, you should at least have a working knowledge of what the hell a Black-Eyed Kid is and why it's so troubling. But we're going to get to the Factinate article as I suggested before, and currently around number 28 of this article, which is intensely creepy experiences. Want to learn something new every day? Well, that's what Factinate is for. Okay, well, that helps. They got all kinds of new stuff there. We're on number 28, Seeing Double. And this says, I own this really random photography book called 100 Young Americans that I bought around 2007, maybe earlier. And I know I still own it because I recently reorganized my bookshelf just last week, though. I did read this one last show, but I'm going to continue now because it would sound stupid if I stopped. So this is this is a rerun. This is a rerun story. I was getting into my car and I saw something sitting on top of the trunk of my car. I get out and it's a copy of 100 Young Americans just sitting on my hood. Why is that random photography book that I've literally never seen anywhere anyone else have sitting open on the hood of my car that I've never seen? Why is the random photography book that I've literally never seen anyone else have? Oh, okay. Sitting on the open on the hood of my car. Also, yes, my copy is safe and sound in my bookcase. That was by EJDS Richmond 415. Now, the interesting thing was that I thought when I read this the first time is, I wonder what it was open to. If it's a photography book, what was it depicting? Was there something there? Because here's the thing. I don't think spirits can just say, hey, check it out. I'm in your garage, but I've been here for, decades, but this is what happened to me. They can't just come up and have that dialogue. So they use, images, symbols. Sometimes as has been suggested by a caller to the show one time, Dee Swiger. She has her own show on YouTube as well. But she would see like 2 dimes lying on the floor. And she said, just think about it. It's a paradigm. And that's, I think that's pretty cool. So sometimes they can be messages like you need to change your paradigm. You need to open your mind a little bit. I thought that was really brilliant. But, hey, Sherry, good to see you. One of the Black-Eyed Kids stories comes from where I grew up in Abilene, Texas. Yes, even just by saying that area, it's like, yep, Abilene. I know that one. And maybe we'll end up bumping into it tonight. I got several articles pulled open from phantomsandmonsters.com. And they may recap that one in there. But we'll go into all that I've pulled up for the show. We've got several things to go through. But that is interesting. You found this picture book open to a specific page, apparently. But never makes mention.
Where does it say open?
He says, why is it have it sitting open on the hood of my car? So
the second part. Okay.
Yep, yeah. It's in the second paragraph. Right. Yep. So interesting. But I think when you see things like that, it's important to look. What is being shown? What is being showcased? Why is it open? And what page? What is that depiction on that page? Because that could be some insight into what the hell's going on. Number 29, A Bridge to Another World. I was driving home late one night, somewhere between 1 and 3. The stretch of road I was driving goes through the back end of a couple of counties in the deep south. Nothing around but forests, fields, and the occasional group of shacks huddled under a light that only barely keeps away the night. I'd driven this stretch of road many times before, even at this time of night, so it wasn't really a big deal, just a long trip. Since there was rarely any traffic at that time of night, I was able to turn the stereo up and push the pedal down. Then I came to this bridge. Nothing really noteworthy about it. It's not ancient or a covered bridge or all that spooky, just a concrete span over a swampland. Trees going right up near the edge of and turning the road into a dim trail at the bottom of a dark canyon. I didn't think anything of it until that night. It was humid out, and the temperature dropped. There was a little bit of fog. Not really enough to slow me down, but I had to turn off the high beams, so I'm shooting across that bridge, and it hits me. It seems to be taking longer than normal to get across it. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. And then when I thought I was finally getting to the end of it, I saw a figure walking on the opposite side of the road. At first, no big deal, right? Guy walking in the middle of nowhere in the middle of a night. Probably lives nearby, probably not sober. Watch them to make sure they don't fall in front of the car, but my mind is already racing. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere. There are no houses around. There are no lights, but the stars and my headlights stabbing out at the darkness. And as I whiz by, going way too fast for my own good, I notice 2 terrifying things. First, the figure is wearing what appears to be a straitjacket. The sleeves are undone and the straps trailing to the ground. Second, it has no face. Not like there's no head there. There's a head shape and the place where a face should be, but just no face. Just an expanse of darkness that I took to be his skin. I chalked it up to going really fast. Contrast between white jacket and dark skin at night and thinking creepy thoughts. I mean, surely I couldn't have just seen that. I tried to spot him in my rearview mirror, but it was so dark there was nothing to be seen. I slowed down a little and was suddenly off the end of the bridge and on normal 2-lane blacktop again. I briefly considered turning around and seeing what it was. Surely it was just a trick of the light or my mind playing tricks on me, right? That was by Ryder Monk. It's a well-written story, but is that beyond the scope of possibility? No, I think that we've heard many stories of people that seeing apparitions that didn't have a face. I think this story is really well written, and with a name like Rider Monk, you got to wonder, is this just some bored author just trying to pen a really memorable tale? And maybe we can't authenticate this at all. But what do you think, Sheldon?
I mean, the thing that it reminded me of was our experience with driving, and the thing is, it was like a shortcut for us. But this, it seems like he was
on a long cut.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like you said. Is it out of the scope of what is possible? No, right. But
yeah,
I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a normal story, but it's not without merit. I've heard others like it. Rachel gets it right, says, could be a costume, a straight jacket and pantyhose over his head. That's a good point.
Could be.
Because surely if you're moving fast and somebody's wearing pantyhose, it could very well look, especially in the night, and the only thing illuminating this figure is the headlights. It could be very
there's no
possible.
Houses.
Right. So why is the person out there? Who knows? I mean, some people love to just be dicks and try to get rises out of people. So maybe it's something like that, but maybe it's not. Bridges over water have more sightings, says Buzzacino, and that could be true. Water is often attributed to paranormal activity. Some people believe it acts as a spiritual conduit. Some people believe it acts as a barrier to spiritual activity. That water can be a barrier. So you get both sides of it. But water and limestone, which has a high quartz content, if there's high quartz contents in the soil, those can be real hotbeds of paranormal activity. And I guess it's some energetic principle that's attached to the quartz, maybe, but you hear that a bunch. So at any rate, it's strange.
It is.
Let's get to the next one, and this is number 30. Who wrote that? Oh, I said Rider Monk, yeah. Number 30, a mysterious ailment. A woman I knew began to have pain and fatigue and a whole suite of other vague symptoms shortly after being treated for mastitis. As she'd recently just had a baby, she went to the doctor, who pretty much dismissed her. She continued for years to suffer with extreme fatigue, migraines, low-grade fevers, etc., without any relief. Man, that's tough. She got diagnosed with fibromyalgia pretty much as no one knows what the heck this is, so we'll stick that label on it and call it good. She got referred to psychologists, and even her husband started losing patience with her. One night, she'd made up her mind to wait until her husband was at work and her daughter was off at school the next morning to take an overdose of pills. Oh, that's such a heartbreaker. Oh. Well, as she was falling asleep, though, she heard a voice, loud and clear, tell her, "It's your implants. Get them taken out." She'd had breast implants years before. When she had done some modeling, she called a plastic surgeon, set up a consultation, and midway into describing her symptoms, the surgeon interrupted her by saying she'd seen this before. The implants had to come out as soon as possible. When the surgeon removed them, they were black. They were completely full of mold, which had been playing merry havoc in the woman's immune system. Once the implants were out and she was treated with an antifungal, she recovered quickly. Oh, and her husband felt terrible for doubting her when he saw those black implants. Wow. So that was by Silly Gaijin. Okay. That is tragic. And I don't know if it's a saline implant, then obviously they weren't as sterile as they should have been before they were implanted. But if it's, I also, with the first breast augmentations that were offered, they used silicone. And they were, they'll be fine forever. Well, people found out that they started having symptoms much like this, and they found out when they removed the implants, they were leaking. And so these people had this constant influx of this silicone gel being, in their systems. And I don't know if it took lives or not. It may have, but I know for sure it made a lot of people really sick and maybe even damaged their health for the rest of their lives. So it's definitely a tough thing. Anytime you introduce something into the body, there's always that risk, So
what is your opinion on, we're moving closer and closer to technology implants. What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion starts with hell and then goes to no. I've already got metal implants and screws and stuff in this body, so I'm pretty sure if they install chips and stuff, I could probably surf the net. No, I'm just not interested in it. I'm not interested in merging myself with machines. I don't know. I mean, I understand there are people that are really excited for that, and God bless them, I guess. But no, I don't want to be plugged in. How about you? What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. No, I mean, no matter how well someone who is extremely knowledgeable in this area could tell me how safe it could be and how there's a lot of safeguards and I would never feel safe. No, I just couldn't.
And you know what the next problem is going to be? Oh, Phil was driving to work and somebody hacked his arm. It's like, oh, great. It's like that is coming for sure. If there's something that can be broken, somebody's going to figure out a way to do it and cause a hell of a lot of problems. And especially with the brain, you don't mess with the brain. Don't plug things into your head. A lot of people believe that may be the look of the future, but not mine.
No.
So I think I'll just nope the hell out of that plan. But great question. Yeah. All right. Are you ready for the next one, Sheldon?
Oh, of course.
Number 31, The Lady in the Rocker. My grandmother passed when I was in 8th grade or so, and after a few years, my grandfather came to live with us for a bit, and then had to go to the assisted living home. Well, I'm in college, and we have decided to open up I am in college, and we have decided to open up their house. Oh, okay. For a family reunion. One of my cousins, Kate, flew in early with her 5 to 6-year-old son, Tom, to open the house and just air it out. This is in rural Mississippi. Kate and Tom were going to a hotel that night and come back the next day, and as they pulled away, Kate notices Tom looking out the back window and waving at the house. What are you waving at, buddy? I'm waving at the lady. What lady? The lady in the rocking chair on the porch. Now, there were several chairs on the porch, but only one rocker. It was the chair my grandmother sat in and waved at all of us as we drove away from a visit. She always sat and waved until we were out of sight. The next day, some aunts and cousins opened up one room that they hadn't opened the day before, my grandparents' bedroom. As they're sweeping and dusting, Tom wanders in, and then his words chilled us to the bone. He points to a picture of my grandmother on the bedroom mantel and says, "Hey, Mom, there's the lady I was waving at yesterday." To Kate's knowledge, that was the first picture of his great-grandmother Tom had ever seen. Oof.
Wow.
Those kids that got like that extra radar, they don't have the filters or whatever, but wow.
They can see what we can't sometimes.
Yeah, and it's really kind of frustrating. Now imagine living a life where you are acutely aware of all the spiritual presences around you, as well as the physical people that are still incarnate. And what would that world look like? Now, I don't know that kids are, able to see everything, but they definitely see a lot more than we do on average. There's of course people that had never lost that. They could just maintain that vision and ability throughout their lives. But I kind of say I'm kind of envious of it, and maybe it's because I don't have it. Like everything that you can do, there's always a downside to it, right? So maybe the torments would be pretty hectic dealing with problematic entities,
and it brings up this brings up to my it's not my favorite as far as something I'd like to think about, but it's my favorite thing to kind of delve into and to think deeply about is if you could never turn it off and you were always seeing different things, and that brings up the thought of schizophrenic people.
Well, sure. I mean, certainly those people with quote unquote mental illness, and I'm not judging or anything, but those things are very real to them. Those illusions that they experience, and I'm saying illusions because we just don't know. They could be tuned into a different frequency sometimes, and that's what they see. It doesn't, is there more to this? Is we often we always discard those things as, those are just illusions. Those are the musings of a damaged mind. But what if it's not? What if they are actually seeing another version of reality, maybe a parallel universe of sorts where things are different, and they can see that. And, we dismiss those things. But I think that we stand to learn a lot once this kind of stuff is taken seriously and there's an active and real, very real study going on. Because I think this stuff could stand to teach us a lot,
Oh, I agree. I mean, even when you consider the frequencies and other kind of things it's impossible for humans to hear, like, for example, and for the entire visual spectrum, everything that it exists that you can see, but we only see like a small portion of that.
Right.
Who knows what everything looks like that we literally cannot physically see or hear.
Yeah. What are those sounds like? What does it look like? Yeah, very true. I think there's so much to ponder, but it's absolutely fascinating. It's part of the reason that I've been doing this show for all these years and will continue to do it until they kick me off. But I think we stand to learn a lot by this stuff. It's not just the hiccups of reality. It's the breadcrumbs, and we need to follow them, see what they lead us to.
Yeah.
But number 32, monsters are real. Well, we knew that already, but let's see what it says.
Oh, yeah.
Once upon a time, I lived with a couple and their child. They asked me to babysit so they could have an evening together, and I agreed. Fast forward to bedtime, the child doesn't want to go to sleep because of the monsters. The child is adamantly sincere, which creeps me out a bit, but I play it cool. I look around the room, pretending to scare them away. This does the trick, and the child falls asleep. Later, I'm sitting in the living room, which is oriented so that the couch faces away from the main entry. I'm watching television, expecting the couple back any minute, and that's when I hear the entry door open and close, just like I've heard it many times before. With a smile on my face based on my success with the child and the knowledge of my good deed, I stand and turn towards the door. There's no one there. I'm skeptical of the paranormal, but this unnerved me. Once the couple actually returns, I tell them about it, and he says, "Oh yeah, we're going to tell you about that stuff happens here all the time, particularly in the child's room, but we didn't want to scare you." Needless to say, I slept poorly in my basement bedroom for several days. Yeah, that's by Indiana Tonus. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
It's always the skeptics.
It's always, but that's the ones I love the most because it's great when they get that dose of reality,
Well, if they choose to accept it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you got to believe it's in there somewhere, right? Even if they deny it, it's in there somewhere. It's in their head, and it's going to be playing out over and over until they reconcile it. So, number 33, a glitch in the matrix. My sophomore year of college, I lived on campus, but my boyfriend didn't. He worked on campus. However, he would often hang out in my dorm with me between class and work. My bed was lofted with my desk underneath it, and sometimes I would take a nap while he sat at my desk doing homework. One afternoon, I woke up from a pretty vivid dream and started telling my boyfriend about it. I remember hearing him respond, and in the middle of my response, I felt this eerie shift in the atmosphere. It was like the whole room suddenly became slightly darker and colder. I quietly said his name, but he didn't respond. And that's when I remembered he had been at work for about 3 hours. I grabbed my backpack, ran out of there, and did homework at the library until he was off.
Wow.
That's by Asleep Under the Bridge was who wrote that one. That's pretty crazy. Don is one of those in denial with his raccoon. Yeah, Don doesn't want to. I don't know if he doesn't believe or doesn't want to believe in some of this, but I kind of picked the Black Eyed Kids because I knew he was going to be here tonight, and that subject really creeps him out. He gets creeped out by the Black Eyed Kids, so I was like, well, maybe we'll do that on Friday night.
So, all right.
Yeah, plus it'll introduce you to it, Sheldon. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure to say this at some points before the end of the show, and I may forget, so I'm going to do it now. But if you aren't already aware of the channel Bigfoot Odyssey, it's a YouTube channel, and there are some friends of ours, Carrie Arnold and Daniela Aiello, have a channel, and they're great friends. And Carrie has done these documentaries, and they're just releasing their big one. The first part of it is being released now for people that are non-members. So after the show, head over to Bigfoot Odyssey YouTube channel and check it out. It's one of the things I'm planning on doing as well, is checking out that new documentary. It's called 168 Hours, or 168, something like that. But I'm really excited to see it because they did this huge expedition into Florida this last spring, I guess, and there's so much that they have to go through, and there's going to be other parts of this released in the future, but I'm really excited for this release, and any of you that out there that are into the Bigfoot phenomena, you're going to want to check it out, and definitely get subscribed over there. And again, check out 168. It's 168 is the name of it, and it should be available, I guess, about right now or really soon. Probably after the show is when I think it's released officially. After this show.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Oh, you looking at it? Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. They're doing a pre-game show right now.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, and it's really exciting. So we hope that they get lots of traffic for that, because that's a huge effort. They had a huge expedition with so many materials and stuff. But there's the bell, ladies and gentlemen. That means we got to go to break, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes with more of the Paranormal Portal.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed. Yeah.
Is that dead air?
No waterfall? What?
No, I don't hear anything yet. Just waiting and listening.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
Very interesting.
I don't hear the bumpers right now, ladies and gentlemen, but I think the network feed should be playing the Poltergeist bumper that we do all the time here on the weekend shows. But until I see that coming on the air, and it might just start like it did last time. So we'll see. Trying to get everything all synced up because of the, the work that was being done at the network has kind of shifted things a little bit. So we'll get it all lined up here eventually. Eventually we will.
Oh.
But it's still muted. So.
Oh, I was hoping I'd get it on time. I was doing a 3, 2, 1.
Oh, were you?
Didn't work.
Doing a little countdown, huh? Well, excuse me. We'll get there as quick as we can. I'm just waiting for it. It must be that the network is hearing it. There it goes. Just went on the air.
So how's everybody doing? How
Hey,
you doing
everybody.
tonight?
Welcome back. And welcome back to the Paranormal Portal as we are now into hour number 2. We're going to be diving into more of the meat and taters that we come to love here on the show. And that includes our fun-filled romp that we have planned to go into the whole... I guess we'll do this first. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I guess we're back on the air now.
Okay.
That'll all get ironed out. It's just they have been doing a lot of work at TFR, so there's a few hiccups still in the system, a few ghosts still in the machine that they're chasing out. But as you've come to expect on the Paranormal Portal, things are always in a state of weird. It's how we roll here in the portal. But I do want to take a minute. I cannot see the TFR chat at all. I just want to look at this quick and just see. But we can look at the YouTube chat and just do some shout outs quick. See who's here. And it looks like so far we got Asset Ramsey's here, Gigi's here, Gigi Vompson's here, Carrie Brennan's here, Maggie M10 is here, Matt Tyrrell is here, Outside the Matrix is here, I'm here, Pazuzu is here, Rachel gets it right, Sheldon, you're here, Thinking of Others is here, Trace Lanil, or Linnell is here, Trace, Truth Hip Hop Consciousness is here. I know that Sherry's here somewhere. She was, at least, but unfortunately you have to be chatting in order for this to give me your name. So if you're not talking, I won't see it on this list. Buzzacino's here. Carrie Brennan. My name is here. There's someone said my name. Well, welcome. I like it. I always like it when you see new people coming to visit the shows. To me, that's just really fun. And it's not that I don't appreciate all you guys that have been with us all along, but it's just fun to see new names pop up. I wonder if Portal Mama's out there somewhere, probably just hanging out. Ruthie just popped in. Pazuzu. That's Lucifer's here. How you doing, Lucifer? Welcome to the show, brother. You and Pazuzu here on the same night? That's pretty cool. Well, we've got the darkness all sorted. I'm just kidding. South Osman is here. Good to see you, South Osman. Does that mean you're from Australia? Are you from down under? If you are, welcome to the show. If you're not, welcome to the show. But either way, good to see you guys. Thank you all so much for coming in. Truth Hip Hop Consciousness is here. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming in. And I think that's everybody. Aggravated Progressive. Good to see you as well. I think that's everybody. So if you're new to the show, thank you so much for coming and checking it out. Oh, he says, yeah, he's from Australia. Welcome. We love us some Aussies here. We just did a Portal Pieces on Dean Harrison episode where we interviewed Dean Harrison on a 2-hour interview, but we've created a new channel which is called the Paranormal Portal Pieces. Gigi, yeah, I said both of your Gigi names are here. Thank you, though. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, Paranormal Portal Pieces is our secondary channel for the Paranormal Portal, and what it is a new channel that's been launched, and Sheldon is going through a lot of our long-term interviews or long-length interviews, and he's creating short episodes, little clips from those shows, and we're putting them on the Paranormal Portal Pieces, hopefully to help raise awareness that we're here doing a show. And so it's just another arm of the Paranormal Portal adventure. So if you'd support that, we'd love for all of you guys to go check it out. Let me get a link, and I'll put that in the chat here. And if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it if you go over there and subscribe. If you would please subscribe, that would mean the world to us. Because it's just been launched a couple of weeks now, so it's very, very new, but we're hoping that you guys will help support that as well.
Too late, already got it.
Oh, really?
I beat you though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Mine's already on the screen above yours.
No, it's not.
Isn't it on yours?
Nope.
Is yours really faster than mine on your screen?
Yeah, on my screen.
Oh, well, all right. Well, I guess we both...
Let chat decide.
We'll both get to win. Yeah, you have to let us know. Did Sheldon win or did I? That's what we're wondering about. So,
you know what it is.
Hour number 2, we're going to jump into the black-eyed kids phenomenon. This is a weird one, and if you're not familiar with it, buckle up because it's going to get really creepy. But if you are familiar with it, then you, of course, know all of the strangeness that is included with the black-eyed kids. And it's a strange phenomena, and what they are, nobody's really quite sure, but what it seems to be is that they are some form of... I think that they're probably some form of multidimensional presence or dark entity of some kind. They appear as if they're young children, but as the narration goes for these kind of events, the way the events take place is that people will be usually in their homes. Like 90% or more are incidents that have happened in people's homes. And they'll get a knock at the door, but it'll be like very late, like 11 or 12 or even early morning hours. And people will go answer their door. As they're getting to the door, they just suddenly get this feeling of dread. It's like people pick up on this weird twisted energy or something, and they just know, wait, something's not right. They look out, and they're confronted with these little children standing at their doorway, usually with hoodies on or, some clothes, but I mean, they're not, obviously they're clothed, but they're dressed in such a way as they're not usually dressed for the elements they're in. And, oh, thank you, Trace. I appreciate it a bunch. Or Trace. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but yeah, that means the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love the Transformer, but so these kids will be looking at the ground. No, it's not a record, Matthew, but it's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. They look at the ground so that people don't actually see them, but they look out their doors and see these small children, what look like, either preteens or teens or early teens, kids standing outside of the doorway. Usually it's an older and a younger one. So one will look like it's about 6 or 8 years old. The other one will look like it's, around the 12, 13-year-old range. They'll be asking for help. Can you let us in? We got lost. We need to call our parents to come get us. And it's a diabolical thing because, again, it's kind of like the whole child spirit thing. And my opinion on child spirits is that I don't believe there are a lot of child spirits. I think they can happen. But generally, I think they're just things that appear like children's spirit because if you're a normal person, you are going to be nearly genetically encoded to help a child. Like if you're a decent person, you see a child and you want to help. It's just like this almost a genetic imperative that just, I can't let these kids be out in the weather. What's going on? This is insane. So people want to let them in, but they get this feeling of dread. Like, no, something's really wrong. Something is absolutely terrible about what's going on here. And they get this fear. Now, the other part of it is that a lot of people feel this sense of compulsion, like they're being compelled to. Many people are standing there in fear, and they find their own arm reaching for the door to open it, but it's almost like it's out of their control, and they have to really wrestle it back, like they're being compelled, and so they're frustrated. And then once they resist, then the kids look up, and what they're greeted with is these little pale faces that have absolutely black eyes. That's hence the name Black-Eyed Children, and No, do you need me to call? I'll call somebody for you. No, we need to get in. You need to let us in. We need to come in now. Now, the other thing that comes up is that they don't speak like children. They speak like demanding and almost like giving orders. And the more you deny them, the more forceful they get with demanding to come in. So 99% of those stories end with people just shutting the door and getting away from the door and then just sitting in terror in their houses for hours, waiting to see if anything else happens, which generally it doesn't, or they might look out their windows later and see the kids still standing out by a streetlight staring at the house, just unmoving. So it's a really creepy phenomenon. Now, some people have claimed to have let them in, and there's been several different claims of what happens then. Generally speaking, it's believed that you either become deathly ill, or you do die, or you develop these diseases that you just came out of nowhere. Like something about letting them in, and the kids generally just disappear. The people inside the house end up passed out and wake up, and they don't know what happens, but they realize they got bloody noses and feeling horrible, and go on to any number of different stories like that. Those stories are very rare, but they're out there. So what are they? Are they a spirit? Are they some kind of entity? Are they a multidimensional entity? Are they some form of cryptid? It's hard to know. But that is the black-eyed kids phenomenon. That's what we're going to dive into tonight. Now, what I've got pulled up first is an article from Thought Catalog, and it's by Christine Stockton. Yeah, Stockton. Christine Stockton. And this is talking about 16 terrifying encounters with the black-eyed kids. Now, the black-eyed kids encounters are pretty rare, but I'm going to read through this, and chances are you will have heard of some of these if you're familiar with the phenomenon at all. But there's also a chance that you haven't. But it was written on actually updated May 19th of 2021. And so, again, rather than reading the opening article, I already kind of did that. So let's go right to the actual claims. We'll read through a few of these, and then we'll move on to other articles. If they're mostly redundant, I think I'll skip most of them because I don't want to repeat the same show again. But Midnight Caller's the first one. It says, "It almost felt like a dream. I woke up to my dog, Lucy, barking. She was upright on the bed where my husband and I were sleeping with our 22-month-old daughter, staring at our door like an unknown stranger was out there rummaging around. I thought she was just freaking out over a house noise. We'd only had her 3 months, and she was still a puppy. It could have been anything. Our roommate, a creak in the house settling, the awnings moving outside in the breeze. I wasn't too concerned initially. I decided the best bet would be to open the door and show her nothing was there. It sounds a bit silly, but it's what we do with our daughter when she gets scared, and I figured should work with a puppy too. I opened the door, and she raced to the front door. She stood there, snarling at the door. It was an angry, violent one I had never heard her make before. I looked groggily at her and then opened the baby gate blocking the doorway, planning to open the door and show her everything was okay. The second my hand reached for the deadbolt, Lucy went wild. She started barking and jumped up towards me, and when I touched the metal, she suddenly changed her temper. She whimpered, almost like she was afraid and backing down. As her mannerisms changed, so did mine. I wasn't calm anymore. My heart was racing and sinking at the same time. I'd been flooded with a mixture of fear and dread. I looked through the peephole. I can't explain why, but I did. Outside were two kids. One was just a smidgen shorter than me, and I didn't look much younger. I'm 21, and she looked to be about 16 or 17. She was slender and pale, and her hair was a light shade of honey blonde, and she wore it long, about mid-back, with long, thin, blunt bangs in the front that covered most of her eyes. She wore jeans, a light wash that's popular right now, and a thin-looking olive-colored pullover-style hoodie. She held the hand of the small girl, who looked to be only around 3 or 4, in the same style jeans and button-down ivory cardigan. The smaller one looked at the floor shyly, but had the same shade of hair tied back in a ponytail. She held a stuffed toy under her free arm, and it was identical to the one my daughter has, as was their style of dress. Had it not been for the feeling of overwhelming dread and fear, I probably would have asked these children in and given them some tea or hot chocolate to get them out of the bitter cold. Something about them seemed off. At this point, I hadn't made any noise. I hadn't shushed the dog or grumbled or nothing. I hadn't turned on any lights, and these kids had no indicators that I was at the door. The older one spoke. She had a voice that was mature, confident and strong, and accentless. She held her head tilted downward. I couldn't see her eyes, and she said, "We have to use your phone." I stood frozen in fear. How did she know I was there? She raised her head to face me directly, and that's when I saw her eyes. There was a reason I couldn't see them through her bangs before. They were black, or midnight blue, or dark, dark purple. They were otherworldly, and she said, "Our mother is worried." As someone who has always been interested in creepy stories, I knew what she was the second she looked at me through the door. I've never been one to believe in these things as a staunch atheist and skeptic when it comes to the paranormal. I'd written off many ghost stories from friends, family, and family members eager to tell their tale. I just didn't believe it. Still, I couldn't rationalize my way out of this. I was standing with nothing but a thin wooden door between me and a black-eyed kid. There was no questioning what was right in front of me. I did not answer her. Slowly and silently, I backed away from the door. Lucy was still cowering at my ankles. She kept talking. "Just let us in to use your phone." I took another step back, and with that step, the tone changed. At first, she became polite. When I took that second step back, she became commanding, almost hostile. "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in. I'll ask again, may we come in to use your phone?" Lucy snarled at the door, and I inched backwards though something inside me seemed to be slowly pulling me back towards the door. It wasn't a physical pulling so much as a subconscious need to go back and let them in. I got to my room, covered up the window, locked the door, and I sat there in the dim light of the nightlight. I heard her call me back to the door once more, and then quiet. I didn't go back to sleep that night, and I haven't slept right since. I know from reading about them that the black-eyed kids can't just come in without permission. I know haven't hurt anyone, but I still fear that I'll be the exception. When I told my husband, he said I was just a dream. He keeps telling me to forget it, but this lingering feeling of sadness, this dread when the house is silent at night, this fear of a knock at the door, this tells me otherwise. That was wild. That was via No Sleep in 2012. Oh. That's an older story. I think we've covered it before. So again, I do apologize for the redundancy, but it's very creepy.
That is very unsettling.
Welcome to the portal.
I mean, just having these like two little girls just like talking like that even is unsettling in itself.
Right.
But then that comment was the most unsettling. It was like, "We don't want to hurt you. If we did, we would have broken in." And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're looking at a 3 or 4-year-old and a 13-year-old or a 17-year-old. It's like, wow, it's not like these are forces of nature and visual, but still, there's something ominous about those words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something you would expect to hear from somebody wanting to use your phone.
No.
Let's go to the next one. There's just a few. Well, there's several in this list. I don't know. I'm going to skip that one. The next one is a bus encounter that we're going to cover. And it says, I was riding the bus back home from work, and it was about 1 a.m. and I'm a security guard I often worked odd hours. So I'm sitting there, and this guy gets on, sits across from me. He was wearing a suit, had a briefcase, regular looking guy in his 20s. What struck me about him at first was that he was chewing a cigar, not smoking it. You can't smoke on the bus, so I was just looking at him, and then he stared out the window, chewed his cigar, and all of a sudden, he turned and looked at me. His eyes were pitch black, it says just as you described. My heart started beating like a madman. I'm going to just say that. It's not what this article says, but that's the version you're getting. And I felt my gorge rising. I was starting to panic, and I had no idea why. I was just pants soiling terrified of this guy. He grinned at me, and his teeth were all covered in tobacco bits and brown juice. The cigar clamped between them. I almost screamed, but instead, I had the presence of mind to just get up and take the seat right behind the driver. I calmed down a bit after that, but I kept an eye on the guy. He ended up chatting with some girl that got on, and they were just still talking when I got off. I later convinced myself he was just trolling me, having fun with a pair of contacts. But now I wonder. Yeesh.
Makes you wonder if this person saw that old guy talking to someone else, maybe.
Well, he wasn't old. He was supposed to be a 20-something-year-old looking guy.
Oh, okay, my mistake. But it makes me think maybe these type of beings. I mean, it's possible that they're among us, and only certain people with maybe a certain mindset at the time can actually see the signs.
Right.
I mean, and maybe they look regular to everybody else.
That could be. It could be. It's very curious for sure. I want to get through this part. We've got about 5 minutes before the break, if you can believe that already. Actually, yeah,
wow.
Just 5 minutes. So let me get through this. This is 10 facts about the black-eyed kids that's included with this article. And this is why I picked it, because I didn't necessarily want it for the stories, because I figured most of them are probably we've covered before on the show. But I did see this list on here. I'm like, that'll be a good one. So black-eyed kids will look like normal human children between the ages of 6 and 16, but with pale skin and completely black eyes. Additionally, people who have been in close proximity to black-eyed kids report a feeling of unease that washed over them. While nothing about the children's appearance, aside from the eyes, genuinely frightened the people, they still report feelings ranging from anxiety to terror at their presence. Some people have also reported seeing black-eyed kids that have talons for feet or other demonic attributes, but most sightings are of seemingly normal children. And that's interesting, because I don't think I've ever heard a depiction of them having the talons on their feet, but I'd like to look into that more. Black-eyed kids are also commonly described as wearing dated clothing or dressing in a manner that's not typical of a normal child their age. Yeah, I've heard that. So like a lot of people will claim they were in these old style clothing like nobody wears anymore. And that's kind of curious. But the next one, black-eyed children always ask for something. It's always something that involves being in closed quarters with you. They'll ask for a ride in your vehicle or to enter your home to use the phone. There are no reported stories of what happens when you let a black-eyed kid into your vehicle or home. That's not necessarily true. All stories come from people whose eerie feelings made them flee from the children. Yeah, that's not exactly accurate. Again, you can't... I've stumbled onto many stories that have, not many, but several stories that have talked about what happens when you let the black-eyed kids in. Could they just be fabrication? Sure, but any of this could be. But that it does seem to have a serious repercussion if you let them in. The earliest sighting of a black-eyed kid was journalist Brian Bethel in 1996. Now, I think that's interesting because there have been reports of people seeing other people with black eyes, just totally black eyes. Some attribute it to demonic presence, maybe a possession, but there are reports of people having just solid black eyes. And so that's not necessarily true. The other thing is that as you learn about black-eyed kids, you'll hear a lot of parallels to what became the vampire lore of Hollywood. They can't be let in, or they can't let themselves in. They must be invited. There's the feelings of dread and sickness. There's a lot of different parts of it that are definitely became what we understand as Hollywood version of vampires. So is that the misnomer? Are these the original vampires, the Nosferatu, or what? Is this what our modern day interpretation is of vampires? Again, I talk about the rake, and a lot of people say, "Oh, the rake is just this buzzword from an internet thread, and just kind of took off, and now it's just made up." But the rake could very well be just a new term to describe the ghoul, which is, of course, a presence that's been talked about since medieval times, at least. And so, I don't know. I don't know what's going on up there, but yeah. So anyway, it just could be a new term to define an old phenomenon. Let me get through this list though. The story that has been added to the internet creepypasta lore, but to this day, Bethel insists the incident was real and happened the way he reported it. In 2014, a British paper reported that sightings of black-eyed kids around the world was rising. Theories about the black-eyed kids are that they are vampires, aliens, or of demonic origin. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
We're about to go to the last break. Wow. When we come back, we're going to visit some black-eyed stories from none other than Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler's site. And he's got allegedly been contacted several times about black-eyed kids reports. So we're going to get into that on the other side of the break. Also, I want to point out that, of course, our dear friend Paisley Wild will be live following the Paranormal Portal. And so if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live, stick around because she'll be coming up next. If you want to watch her stream her show, you can usually catch her over at youtube.com/thespacesbetween. We'll be right back. So if I turn on the sound, how's that? There's audio. You'll hear it in a second. Yeah, I got you guys. Sorry about all that. I forgot to unmute it. But it's unmuted now. So we are after it now, folks. We are into the last half hour. The night has just flown by. What I want to do first of all here is to get to these articles quick because the time is burning away fast. I at least want to get through a few of these. And this is, let's go to this one. This is coming from phantomsandmonsters.com, ladies and gentlemen. This is a site from Lon Strickler, who's been a lifelong researcher into the paranormal and 40 topics. He's a great guy. He was a guest on the podcast. Really had a great chat with him. And I'm really always looking forward to talking with Lon. It was a really cool experience because I just contacted him on a whim. I was like, hey, you want to do a show with me? He's like, yeah. So I said, are you busy? And he said, no. So he dropped everything in the middle of whatever he was doing and just did a podcast with me. It was really cool. Really great guy. So this article comes from phantomsandmonsters.com, and definitely check out this site, folks. There's so much over here, so much great stuff. So I want you to check it out and help support what he's doing over there because he's got one of the premier paranormal sites on the web. So, and this is Black-Eyed Kid approaches witness asking for help. This is, again, as reported to him. So we'll read this one and then one more. It says, a woman notices a young boy walking around the neighborhood in bare feet. He later approached her and asked that she help him find another boy. She then notices the black eyes. And this was an account that was recently forwarded to me. First of all, some backstory. My mom and I are both firm believers in all things paranormal. We know the stories of black-eyed children very well. 2 kids with no emotion and black shadowy faces asking to come inside to use the phone, grab something to eat, or even to ask you for just a simple help. But if you help, bad things will happen. We are believers, but of course we never thought either of us would actually encounter something like this. On a Friday night, my mom got home late from work. There was a meeting about her work staying open during the quarantine, so she didn't get to our house until around 7:30 or so. After pulling up in front of our house, she noticed a kid walking down our street. Now, my neighborhood doesn't really have younger kids at all, mainly just us teenagers, so my mom found this kid walking kind of strange. She even says to my dad, "Who's on the phone with her?" And he jokes about the kid jumping on her car to scare her. You know, a typical dad trying to be funny. Then, just as fast as he was in front of her and moving to her, he was gone down the road and around the corner. 20 minutes go by before my mom hangs up the phone and steps out of the car. From behind her, she hears a childlike, "Excuse me." After dropping her purse and screaming, she looks to the kid who she notices is the same boy who had disappeared around the corner almost half an hour before. Immediately, she told us that she had this overwhelming feeling of pure fear through her entire body. She stares this boy down and notices that she can't see his face at all because of his hood and shadows from the street lamp behind him. And he has no shoes. It's 8 p.m. on a Friday night after a stay-at-home order was just put out, and there was this little boy running around barefoot in just shorts and a hoodie. He was trying to dress like a regular person, but just barely missed the mark. This boy, with his head down, asked my mom if she'd seen another boy, little boy, and that he couldn't find him anywhere, meaning he was one of a pair. My mom, who has 3 kids and is one of the most genuinely kind people I know, had no urge whatsoever to help this child in front of her or had any kind of sympathy for his situation. She just felt wrong, like there was something off and she needed to leave. In her head, her only thought was that she needed to run up our porch steps and get inside. However, what came out of her mouth was completely different. She tells this little boy, "No, I haven't, honey. Where did you lose him? I can help you look." Every part of her was telling her to leave and that this was wrong, but she offered to help. It's like the children knew she thought something was off, though, because right at that second, another boy in the distance screamed. Of course, my mom jumped and her fear spiked, but the boy was eerily calm still. He looked at her, and she suddenly noticed the black eyes. In a monotone voice, the boy said, "Oh, there he is," and turned in the opposite direction and ran up our street, then turned left and was gone. Yikes.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. All right, that was the first one. Let's get to the next one here. This is Black-Eyed Kids Encounters in the American Southwest, and this is again from phantomsandmonsters.com. And again, please check out this site and support it any way you can. This is 3 Black-Eyed Kids accounts from different eyewitnesses. Seem that these incidents have waned in recent years, but they do still occur. This was from 2020, so all right, let's check it out. When my dad and his girlfriend told me this story, they had a look of pure terror. They said it happened one late night. They often stay up and watch television shows that they record during the day, so they were watching television when they heard a stern knocking at the door. It's nearly 1:30 a.m., so they were a little apprehensive. They opened the door to find a Latina girl who looked pretty normal, and considering that we live in a predominantly Hispanic city, they weren't taken aback by her. They were a bit surprised by her eyes. They were black. This part of the story did not strike me as odd until a week or two later when I saw these stories of black-eyed kids. Now, I'm not saying this because is a fabricated story. I assure you it is real. But the dialogue is not 100% what happened because my dad was a bit dodgy when I asked him about the subject. It went a lot like this. "Hello?" My dad. "Hello?" Creepy black-eyed kid girl. What do you want?" My dad. "I have nowhere to stay. Can I please stay the night?" No, we don't even know you. And we have a baby daughter in our house." My dad was obviously being cautious for my sister's sake. At this time, my dad's girlfriend said that girl appeared agitated by his statement. "I'm not going to hurt your child. Just please let me in." My dad's girlfriend said that she felt very fearful because she thought that someone could jump down from the corner and invade our home. "Sorry, no," my dad said this, and then closed the door. We live on a second floor of an apartment building, and our front door opens up to the outside world and a staircase. Our apartment shares this building with only one other apartment room, the neighbors. My dad would have heard it if she asked the neighbors for a place to sleep, and he did not hear it. Out of fright, my dad moved the couch in front of the door. They checked and saw her standing in the parking lot next to the dentist's office, right across from their apartment. The story was eerie enough, but when I heard of black-eyed kids, I was really scared for my dad and his girlfriend. Here's the next one. It was an October evening, not too far off from Halloween. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The evening was slowly creeping by, so I decided to go to the corner store. It was only 3 blocks. Shouldn't be too much trouble, right? During my walk, I see the occasional person putting on Halloween decorations and kids playing in their yards, but this story is about something far more sinister. I remember seeing 2 teens about age 14 knocking on the door asking to use the phone, which of course I thought was weird because most teens these days have their own phones. As I kept walking, they stopped and stared at me for a short moment. I felt the blood in veins chill. I felt so creeped out, I hurried to the next block. The next block seemed fine until I looked behind me, saw the 2 teens were following me. I took off sprinting to the store at this point. I saw the sign for the store and relief washed over me. I opened the door and told the cashier was what happened on the way here. He looked at me slightly creeped out and told me a story about this happening to him in his hometown and how they found him the day he left, and asked for his help in an emotionless voice. And he told me never to agree to help. He told me another story, but at that point I was no longer paying attention because they were standing at the door asking to be let in. The cashier freaked out and locked the door. The teams never seemed to waver or leave. They wouldn't step away from the door. It had been an hour. The cashier and I were ready to fight our way out, but instead he took me out the back. The one teen came around the back just as the door shut behind us. He said, "Can you help me?" He was closing in on us, and his eyes, they were black as a starless night, and he was peering right into my soul. I couldn't help but gaze into his eyes, the terror. I can't remember too much of what happened next, but I do recall the sounds of struggle. When I came to, the cashier was struggling with both teens. He was calling out to me for help. I ran towards them, grabbed him by his collar, and pulled him between the two, and knocked them over in the process. I didn't look back until I was near my house. The cashier was gone, but the teens were still following behind. I ran into my house, closed all the blinds, turned the music way up. I tried to find and thank the cashier for saving my life that day, but he didn't show up to work after that. I asked his boss, and he told me he called over the phone and quit. He said he was moving. To this very day, I sometimes feel the fear of those eyes watching me as I drive to work. I sometimes will look out my window and swear I see them watching my house for a couple of blocks away, waiting for their next chance. Jeez, that is so creepy. Wow.
Just a quick question. Is there any like state, location, country, wherever it might be, that these seem to be located at, or is it just all around?
The most of the claims that I've heard have been right here in the U.S., but I have heard some from the UK. I don't know. That's a great question. Perhaps. I think we've covered Australian stories of black-eyed kids as well in the past, but I don't know that there's any distinct place this happens and places it doesn't. You raise an important question because sometimes there are some phenomena that seems very much focused on a specific place, like the Aswang for one that we just covered. So that's a Filipino legend or story. In Thailand, I think it's Thailand. They have this. It's apparently a little girl spirit that follows people, and it's got the hair down in front of the face, much like the Japanese version of Samara or whatever from The Ring. But the Thai version, the girl is wearing, I think, a red dress is most commonly what she's seen in. And it's funny because, outside of that area or that region, you don't hear stories of people being haunted by a little girl in a red dress following them or whatever. It's supposed to be possibly a premonition for a death or something bad coming, but it seems horrible all the same. So there are some phenomena that really do seem very focused on an area, like that's where it exists. But, then again, maybe it's just the fact that there are, maybe the supernatural responds to regional expectations, like if it's a certain region that has a certain haunting or certain type of activity, maybe to them that's the way they appear for whatever reason. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if there isn't almost a quantum entanglement with that it responds to the person's expectation, much like the double slit experience with the photons becoming a particle when people are watching it, but a wave when nobody's watching it. So does the paranormal respond in that same way because it's an energetic phenomena? And maybe it does. I don't know. Okay, no calls. We're good. This incident took place about 22 years ago. I just moved to a new city with my wife, and we were small town newlyweds from the Midwest, and we moved cross country to Phoenix, Arizona, so I could attend graduate school. Being naive and new to the city living, I habitually answered the door without a second thought. Never again after this. The first thing that should have tipped me off to this peculiarity of this situation was the fact that someone was knocking at 6 a.m. The second thing should have dawned on me that this kid had to reach over a rather tall patio gate to unlatch it to open it. The knock on the door was startling. My wife and I were getting ready for work. Pretty normal routine. The moment I opened the door, I was overtaken with an inexplicable sense of fear. To this day, I can picture him. Teenager, average height, average build, knee-length black leather coat, short black hair, and sunglasses. The sunglasses at 6 a.m. struck me as odd, and even more odd was He was eating an apple. He was very polite and asked if he could come in and warm up, and I said no, closed the door, and slid the security chain into place. A moment later, another knock. I opened the now chained door, and before I could speak, he asked again if he could come in and warm up. No, I replied, and attempted to close the door. Before the door could shut, he put his hand out and stopped the door on its hinges. He looked directly into my eyes, still wearing his sunglasses, and said, "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple?" "Screw that," I replied, albeit a little confused. "Get the hell out of here. My wife is calling the police." He takes a moment to let this information sink in, lowers his glasses, revealing his eyes as black as obsidian, and says, "No, you won't be calling anybody." At that moment, I force the door closed, lock it, and call out to my wife. By this time, she is scared, hiding in the bedroom. All jacked up on adrenaline, and I rip the curtains back to look out the window next to the door. He's gone. Absolutely no trace of him. I go out on the patio and check the gate. It's still latched from the inside. I turn to enter the house, and I notice a half-eaten apple lying on the ground. Yeesh. I think we've done that one before, too. In fact, maybe most of these. But I wanted to read these because these are accounts that were sent right to Lon. So I give them a lot more credibility than I would some random article that we pull up, you know. So these are stories he's received. So I think that's really cool.
Rachel Gets It Right says, there's a new horror video game called House of Ashes. I have seen that. A lot of people are doing a Let's Play on YouTube. It's called a fictional idea of the origin of Pazuzu. Pazuzu?
Sure. Okay.
Kind of interesting game.
Well, how do you feel about that, Pazuzu? You're in the chat, so. I will tell you that Pazuzu, in case you guys aren't familiar with it, that was the demon that was depicted in The Exorcist movie. The depictions that they use of the ancient statues of this demon, those are actually depictions of Pazuzu. And I think that's pretty interesting. But our Pazuzu is a good guy. We love him. He's our buddy.
Andrea Beardy says, I heard a podcast of one who studied this specific phenomenon. They said it was mostly in the U.S., and they believed it was an entity taken the form of what our culture is most likely to trust.
Yeah, that stands to reason. I mean, that makes sense to me. I thought the same as you were asking me that. I thought most of them, seem to come from the U.S., but there have been others. But it makes sense, if you want people to put down their guard, look like something that people would open themselves up for, and a child, of course. That was a good article, though. I wonder, is there more?
Oh, Rich brings up a good point.
Does she?
She says, that feeling of fear makes me wonder if these BEKs, black-eyed kids, have been around through humans' evolution. It might explain the uncanny valley, how something almost human disturbs us.
Yeah, it's, it's like that movie Mimic. I don't know if many of you will remember it, but it's basically this idea that, predators tend to, there's some predators that tend to mimic something else. For instance, there's the whole, there's some butterflies that look like birds, that when they flap their wings or open their wings a certain way, it looks like a big bird is staring at you, and that's meant to chase away things. But another would be that, they can become something that doesn't alarm people. And in this movie, these are like man-sized insects that look like people. Like their exoskeleton is such, it looks like somebody in like a trench coat with a fedora hat on, and just in the subways and stuff. And then they of course take and eat people. So it's really creepy, really, really creepy. But it's called Mimic. And I'm not usually one for those kind of movies, but I got to admit that was really clever. I think it's called Mimic. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it's called. I think it's pretty cool subject, but we're down to 6 minutes, and I'm wondering if I can make it through this. I think I might be able to, but I kind of got to speed read it, and we don't have any calls. So I guess we'll move through this last article. And this, again, is from phantomsandmonsters.com. A special thank you to Lon Strickler for letting us use material from Phantoms and Monsters. And please, all of you out there, go support the site. It's really well done. And they do a lot of investigating, especially with the winged humanoid phenomena around Chicago area and basically the Mothman. They're doing a lot of active investigating into the Mothman phenomena. So it's very, very interesting stuff. And if you heard Lon when he appeared on the podcast, we talked about it quite a bit, but very interesting. So definitely support what they're doing over there. Black-eyed kids, what are they? I hope I can get through this. This is 4 different encounters experienced in Delaware, Ontario, Kansas, and Mexico. Maybe one day we'll discover their origin and why they appear. I'm a college student in Delaware. Around August last year, I was sitting in my car in my driveway listening to music. It was around midnight, and I kind of live in the middle of nowhere. And while I'm sitting in my car with my eyes closed, I start to get this feeling that I'm being watched. I look to my right, and I see a figure staring through my car window. It then darts away and then comes back to my window and extraordinarily fast. It looked to be about 5 feet, Caucasian and young. The figure was wearing a hood. I got a glimpse of his eyes. I'm pretty sure they were completely black eyes. Without hesitation, I threw my car in reverse, stepped on the gas, and heard bumping and banging against the right side of my car. Could have sworn it felt bumping under my tires and stuff. I thought that I ran over someone in my driveway. I went to my friend's house, which is about 2 minutes away from mine, and waited for an hour in their driveway. And after I drove back to my house, there was nobody there. Nothing on the ground, no signs of anything that had just happened. Anytime that I told my friends, they all think I was overreacting or hallucinating or something. But I know something happened that night. The feeling and sounds and bumping and banging against my car windows and doors and bumps under the tires, I remember this all too well for it to be fake. Yeesh. Apparently they're not hurt by cars running over them.
Guess not.
The next one. A few months back, I was driving down a dirt road near where I live, the middle of nowhere in southern Ontario, and my radio started going fuzzy and switched to a different song. Then I see 2 kids, a boy and a girl, age I would guess to be around almost 8, or at most 8, sitting down playing on the side of the road. Not being near any houses, which is very strange considering how dangerous it is for kids to be alone on these roads. I see people going way faster than the speed limit all the time. No responsible parent would let their kids play like this. I was so concerned about their safety, so I pulled up beside them and asked if their parents knew they were out there, and without even looking at me, they just said yes. And I said, okay, well, be careful out here and watch out for cars. The girl looked up. OMG, her eyes were completely black. I quickly drove off, wanting no part of these 2 kids. Here's the next one. This happened about 10 or 12 years ago. I'm not sure if it was a real thing. When I was about 10 or 11, I went to the mall with my mom, and we went into a Sears near my home in Kansas. We're headed towards the main part of the mall, and we passed a lady, and I remember she had a baby stroller and 2 kids following her, 1 boy and 1 girl. They looked a few years younger than me. The boy probably 8, and the girl looked about 6, and I distinctly remember these kids having fully black eyes and pale, veiny skin. I kind of felt guilty looking at them because I thought they had a condition, so I just looked away. I never forgot about those kids and would think about it from time to time. Until recently, I looked up their condition. I searched pictures, websites, and different keywords to try to find a disease or something, but nothing. Earlier today, it clicked with me that what I witnessed could have been paranormal. I'd known about black-eyed children for a few years, but never put so many questions, more questions than answers for me. Why were they following her if they were BEKs? What happened to that lady? I wonder if what I saw was truly paranormal. But I don't think I would want the answers. And we're down to a minute. Yeah, I can read this. I think Marla Artiaz Gonzalez opened her door after hearing an incessant knocking. Her home is located in the modest Colona El Bosque neighborhood of Tijuana, the largest city in the Mexican state of Baja California, right across the border from San Diego. It was late afternoon in March 2016 when Marla was getting ready to start dinner, and she always did at that time. The 2 children on her doorstep were about 10 years old, a boy and a girl, and their heads slightly downward. They were wearing what appeared to be handmade clothing. From what the Marla could tell, the children had very pale skin and even pale features, and even though they spoke perfect Spanish, she knew that these kids were not from her neighborhood. Marla thought to call 3 children to the door, who were about the same age as the two standing before her, but something told her not to. She then asked if they were lost or where their parents were. The two strange children replied with their original request for water and permission to enter the house. Marla asked them again if they were lost, and the girl of the two repeated, "No, we want to come in." Marla was at a loss for what to do. It was when she grabbed her phone to call her husband that the two children finally looked up. What Marla saw filled her with terror. After making eye contact with them, she screamed while instinctively slamming the door, and the two children had solid black eyes, something Marla had never experienced before. The sight of them had so disturbed this Mexican housewife that she couldn't speak of it for days. There you go, folks. That's all we got time for, but just remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can, and don't open your door for black-eyed kids. Good night.